I got a business coach, and the business coach would just he hated me because I would just say, well, but, and he's like, what? It's all buts. He'd say, just do it. Yeah, but what about this? And he's like, Jesus Christ, Dan.
What are you paying me for?
And I do that all the time. But this and but that. And I think people think I'm really indecisive. And I probably am. But I'm better at knowing what I don't want than I am
What you do.
what I do. I generally don't. Lots of people ask me, where are you going to be in 5 years? Fuck those.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast Chatzzz. And we have a very special guest today, and long awaited. It's taken a few attempts to get you on. It's probably been the longest it's taken me to get somebody on the podcast out of everyone. I reckon it's probably been about a year. So welcome to the podcast, Dan Anderton.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think this time I messaged you, maybe was it a week or two ago?
Yeah.
We wanted to come on, and then we locked in a date, and then here we are. So I briefed you of how we kind of start the podcast. Well, one thing I didn't mention is how to start the podcast. What we kind of do is just get you to introduce yourself to the viewers or the listeners. So if you're meeting someone for the first time, how would you kind of introduce yourself to them?
Hello, everyone who's listening. My name is Dan Anderton. I'm a Carlisle boy at heart. I'm a sports physio, sports therapist by trade, or sports scientist. I have a young family who take up all my time, I suppose. Love my job. I enjoy where I am in my life at the moment.
Nice. So the 3 facts about yourself, let's start with that. You said you think they're quite boring, did you?
Yeah. Like, it's so hard because you don't want to be boring, do you? You want to come across like 10 interesting things, and I like them really not. So first fact is I'm married with 2 kids, and I never wanted to be that guy, like that dad who talked about his kids all the time. Help yourself, can you?
Yeah, because how old are they now? 2 and
nearly 4.
2 and nearly 4.
And they're all consuming, and they take over your energy and your life and your conversations and a lot.
I suppose, like, the pride and joy and the yours, that they're your own, and
yes, yeah, and they are brilliant. Listen, I'm not gonna talk about kids.
all right. The second one then.
So I wanted to have one about my family, suppose, one about work, one about me a little bit. So family done, work. So I'm a sports therapist, based here, but last 6 years I've done a lot of traveling. So I travel the world with my job. I'm really fortunate. Work in motorsport, and I think probably by the time this goes out, I'll have taken a new job. So I might take a new job this afternoon, which will again allow me to travel the world, doing what I love doing. And we built an academy here in Cumbria, let's say, 3 years ago.
That's cool, because I think I remember when we first spoke that you really enjoyed traveling, didn't you? That part of the job.
Yeah.
Is that something that you want to continue to do?
I want to be that guy again who talks about his kids. If kids weren't there, I'd travel tomorrow because I love it. And these jobs are lucrative jobs, and they're hard to come by. And when you're in, you know. But I have kids, and I don't want to be away all the time, which is why I find it difficult to make these big decisions to say, yeah, I'll 100% have that job and I commit to it, because I've got to think about my kids.
I suppose it's just like circumstances change, isn't it? Like you say.
Yeah, if you
can prioritise.
jobs come up and I snap the hands off. But things are different now.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy right now with where my life is. I'm happy with my family. I'm happy with work. Then these jobs come up. Like,
dangling the carrot.
just like spinning words. I sound like a dick say because they're good jobs.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to take this one that this afternoon. Take it.
Yeah, this will be our end of Feb, I think, anyway, so.
Yeah, I'll take it by then, and I might not be in the country by when this comes in. No. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Fact 3?
Yeah. This is about you personally then.
Yeah, no, this is what I struggle with, because the first two, my family and my job, take over everything. Leave a great deal. I used to do loads, and I do less now, because you just inherent. So, I suppose fact number 3, I like learning. That sounds nerdy. I like learning my job. I like doing new stuff. So we just started learning Spanish. So the lessons once a week.
Oh, cool.
Of course, that's bien, vale.
That means very good. And you, does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, see. I did Spanish until like year 9 in school.
I
know within
like
like
a PhD.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Again, I don't know if I can do it all.
Yeah.
Come on, fuck it. I'll do it now. But I'll never do it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people say when they finish school, like it's the same with anything, isn't it? Like you go to the gym, you exercise to try and train your muscles, don't you?
Yeah.
Maybe get bigger or fitter or more functional. But then when people leave school, they stop training their brain, don't they? And they don't try and learn anything more, if it is even just like reading a book or listening to a podcast or audio book, or like you say, learning Spanish or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's when maybe some people may be happy to just coast, or if you want to try and learn and better yourself, that's when...
I think it's different, isn't it? We had a chat before this went live, and I have friends who know about current affairs because they're not asked about learning Spanish. They're not asked about learning physio like my job. Their job is, well, go to work and then finish, which allows them to know about what's going on in the world and politics and this all shit I don't know about.
Yeah.
We sat in the pub and then talking about the Ukraine war. I don't know what it is.
No.
I should.
Yeah.
You can't do it all, can you?
No. Because I was listening to a podcast on the way here, and it was... Is it Sadiq Khan, the London mayor? And I didn't even know that was the London mayor until I listened to that podcast. That's how bad
I know that.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I was thinking, bloody hell, that's so bad. So, cool. So, anything else you've got in the pipeline then, apart from PhD in Spanish that you're wanting to learn at the moment? Or any examples of what you've done in the past to continue learning since you say...
Yeah, not like I have stuff that I continually learn. So I always dip my hand in research. So I always read about my job anyway. But it doesn't go anywhere. It just allows me to stay current and stay on top. But there's no end point in that. It's not PhD. It doesn't get me qualification. Just enjoy it. We do a lot of reading anyway.
Do you prefer reading, like watching or listening, or what's your kind of way to do it?
If I read something, it obviously means I picked it up and it's what I want to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas if I go on YouTube, I have to be presented with something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I have to listen to someone else's opinion, and that opinion might not be based on anything. Whereas the stuff I read is boring, scientific, literature.
Yeah.
So it's all pretty much fact. Well, I did that test and that happened, and I find that interesting.
And you can form your own opinion on that as well, can't you?
Yeah. And often again, it's in my world, it's frustrating because the more you read, the less you know. Because the more you read, well, actually that was good and that was good, and they're not the same at all.
Yeah. Yeah, you're here, there, and everywhere, aren't you? Yeah. All right, cool. So they were quite interesting. So what we kind of do is we'll just like go back to a little Dan. So what you were like growing up, and how kind of maybe you in your youth has formed to where you kind of got to today, and that kind of thing. So just going back to you as a kid, what were you kind of like, and what did you enjoy?
So I'm the middle. I'm one of 3. I've got an older brother and younger sister. I always probably followed my brother a lot. So I grew up, when I was really young, we flitted about. So we lived in Saudi Arabia, and I lived in Cumbria because my dad worked out there. So we would just fly to and from. And then we kind of settled here, and I just loved sports. Like my brother was into sports, and I was fortunate that the group of lads I grew up with were all sporty. Grew up in a village. Like a real small village, everyone knew everybody. But I was one of the youngest, so I was always probably quite quiet. Was I? Yeah, probably quite quiet. The big characters, the lads who were older than me, like big boisterous boys. Yeah, like probably like fairly uneventful on my part. Just the standard, good. Like parents are still together.
Yeah. No
real issues. I wasn't a bad kid. Didn't get into a lot of trouble. Didn't get into fights.
That's always positive.
You know what I do?
What kind of sports did you enjoy then?
Football. Like everything was football.
Yeah.
And the lads we played with were good footballers. So it's hard not to be okay. And I was just okay. I wasn't brilliant. And then we come out of our little village, and then you go playing in the city. And you start playing with the better players in town. And I just loved it. It's just good. I played with teams that often won stuff. So then, nice winning. It's nice playing football in the sense of winning. Isn't it?
It's different winning in a team as well, isn't it? Doing it together, I think.
Like I think back to early to mid-20s, we'd get on a bus and you drive away to an away game and you win and you come back and you're full of beers. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, because that's one thing that you don't, well, like say at the time you don't realise, isn't it, when you're playing in like a team that is like teamwork, and that's like a life skill in general, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like how to manage different people, because everyone's different, aren't they? Like the right back may not be the best player, but the striker will probably be the best player, and you just know how to talk and manage each people.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, again, talking about the kids, I would love my kids to be into team sport, because you learn so much. You learn like what a rule is, and you learn how to push one person's buttons that you can't push another. You learn to take criticism off your peers and your coaches. Fucking hell. Back in the day,
opposition parents.
It's good.
Yeah, because I think it's a different kind of thing winning on your own. Like, say, I played tennis when I was very young.
Yeah.
And when you're on your own, it's like, it's just you, isn't it? Like, if you're having a bad day, nobody else can help you and pick you up and carry you and stuff like that.
But sometimes that's good though, isn't it? Because you are accountable for everything you do.
Yeah.
Whereas in football, in team sports, it's good because you've got people around you and you can share victories. But when it's a loss, it's your fault. You know, it's easy. Striker didn't score. Keeper had a stinker. Easy point.
Yeah, that's true. So growing up through school, then, did you have any idea what you wanted to do? Was it just standard you wanted to be a footballer, or did you have
standard.
Yeah,
standard. I wanted to play football for a living. I wanted to be a superstar, and I was too small, fucking tiny. It was never going to happen. I was never good enough. But there's always that little dream, isn't there? And I probably held on to that dream till I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
And then, not good enough. But I always enjoyed school. I was bang average at school. Not brilliant, not bad. I kicked on, I suppose, when I went to university. University a little bit later, when I was 20 or 21. And then I just loved it, and that's when I started just really engrossing myself in learning from there.
What did you do between like 16 until you went to uni then? Did you go to college or get a job? Or?
No, I went to sixth form.
Yeah.
And same, I picked the easy stuff at PE. I did human biology at college on a night. I like art.
Yeah, I did art at GCSE.
So I draw a lot. Not many people know that. Might be a fact.
Yeah.
I do a lot of drawing.
So that's a hobby to this day, yeah?
Yeah, if you get time. But I'm a perfectionist. Like starting something if I can't do well. And the second it doesn't look good, they'll try and graft it out and try and correct it. It's just gone. Yeah, so sixth form. After that, I had literally no idea. Oh, do you know? No, I did. Oh, I was supposed to go to university.
At 18?
Yeah. So, as a group of lads, we used to just do stupid stuff.
As you do.
Like go uptown and just do stupid stuff. And these stupid stuff just started to build a bit of momentum and snowball into stuff you shouldn't do. And then one night, I was supposed to move to Liverpool. I was supposed to go to Liverpool John Wewers on a Sunday. We went out as a group of lads on a Saturday. And I think I said to one of the lads, I might do something daft tonight. And I probably didn't mean it at all.
Yeah.
And then I forgot all night. I forgot about it. And then on the way home, we were in a taxi. And one of the lads says, talking shite, you. Nothing happened. And I just remember looking on the white lines. The white lines went... Looked at the speedo. And I thought, I don't know if I've got the balls. And I thought, fuck it. So I opened the door and picked.
No.
So instead of going to the Full John Movers, I went to the RBI.
Oh, what? What happened?
So fractured skull, fractured collarbones, like bad burns, like back tan. I should have horrendous.
You should have back it in now.
Yeah, so I've had a couple of surgeries, a few operations on my head, stitched me back up, and then to realign my hairline, I woke up a few days later and this eyebrow was up here.
No way.
Because they had to pull me head over to try and patch it up.
Oh,
not good. Like, not good.
It's a good story still now, though.
Yeah, it's a good story. So I couldn't go to university. I was in hospital for a number of weeks, and then I wasn't allowed to leave home. I had to carry this card and I had my picture on that said, "Hi, I'm Dan Anderton. If you find me on the floor recently and suffered a head injury, please contact."
Really?
So I was wearing a cap everywhere. It was like a brilliant joke. The lads were like, "Show me head." Yes.
That's something you do, isn't it? When you I haven't done that personally, but it's something stupid you do, isn't it? Like when you're younger, just for the crack.
So we'd go uptown, and I wouldn't go anywhere with that cap on. Just totally embarrassed. I had a big hole in my head. And we get to the doorman, and the doorman saying, mate, you can't come with a cap. And all my mates would have to cry around and say, look at his fucking head. I'm going to sweat.
Yeah.
Look at his head, mate. So I used to take the cap off, and they were like, all right, look at the camera so we know who you are.
No way.
Felt sorry when he said, let me.
That's so funny.
So then I had a year or two out. I think I had 2 years out. I couldn't go to university that year for obvious reasons. And then I think I just wanted to settle for a little bit, so worked as a law cost accountant. I was told doing this was a sign of intelligence. So I did this in an interview.
Who told you that?
And the guy gave me this law cost accountant role. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Just sat in an office, just counting, costing for solicitors.
Yeah.
But it wasn't me.
Yeah. How did that job come about though? First, did you just see it and applied, or did somebody offer you it? Or
so it was CV into town. This one was maybe a little bit more ballsy. It was maybe quiet as a team, but then I wasn't quiet. I was quiet in big groups. Generally not quiet at all. I just took my CV and I went into Carlisle, and I just went into shops, places, and I just walked past this law and cost accountant. I thought, just went in, said, jobs. And the receptionist said no, but there was a guy in there who owned the business. He was like, have you just literally walked in off the street with a tie on? I said, yeah. I said, right, come for a chat. Went, had a chat with him, and he said, have you got a degree in law? No. Are you in business? I said, no. That's a good scar on me. That's any good to it. And then he rang me the afternoon after it. The afternoon later, he said, like that. You really will walk in and do that. If you try and come in. And this is the both thick. So there you also that.
yeah.
Let's be much.
I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? Like, you don't know unless you tried it.
And I was quite happy. I had no right to be. So if there was a no, of course it's a no.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be?
Yeah, what's the worst can happen to say no? You must have had something about you as well to go in for them to remember you.
I'm like, all right with that. Like, a few of my close mates, it's not being that guy. If I want something, if I don't want it, I say I don't want that, or I can't do that.
Yeah.
You know?
All right, so you did that for a year then, and then you went back to uni then?
Then I went to uni. Yeah, I went to Teesside Uni in Middlesbrough.
To do?
Squat science.
What appealed?
I think everybody, back in them days, I'm going back 18 years here maybe, I think if you didn't know what you wanted to do, you did sports science, because it was just a non-specific course that didn't often lead anywhere, usually PE teaching, but at least it give you a few years. So I went straight into the second year, which was difficult, because I did well in A-levels and other stuff. So they let me bypass my first year, went straight into the second. So you straight into work. Yeah, I didn't really know where it was going. And then again, that's when I first started loving it. So I loved it. Really immersed myself into it. Hung around with good people. He did the research project right at the very end, and that research project kind of blew up. You got the right people involved, and a couple of the right people were the world leaders in that particular field. And then that research got published. And then I went to Italy to present it, and then things started to start there.
So did you move over to the northeast, and or were you still living?
Yeah. I moved over into Halls, which is interesting. Brilliant, because that's what you do, I suppose. Yeah, great. And met some great lads. Still speaks it now. Yeah, loved it, and that was it. I knew I wasn't going to stop there. I was going to do a master's degree. I knew I was going to do more.
Because what interested you about it? Because like you say, you just applied because you kind of thought that was a thing to do. Then what made you like love it? Was it just the learning part, or was it the research, or? I
think it all, just the whole experience of being at university. So it's daunting going, because
you're going to make friends and that kind of thing.
You make new pals, and you might be around people that really aren't your people. But yeah, just good. You just settled into a really good group of lads. The course was good. I enjoyed it. I played football. You went out a lot. The experience is good.
Yeah, life experience, don't you? You grow as a person, don't you? Living away from home, and even just simple things like getting a good schedule or routine of like washing your clothes or getting the food shop and going to lectures, that kind of thing.
Like I was a designated, because I've always been fairly self-sufficient. So I was a designated cook in my house and in my halls, and group of lads who buttered toast. Literally never done it. So then they'd give me maybe a fiver each, I'd go shopping, and then I'd cook them groups of people.
They must have loved you then, did they?
It made their life easy.
Yeah. So then you said this research project at the end then kind of like blew up. What was that about?
So I really enjoyed it, still enjoy to this day, about people, like human behaviour. Why do people do what they do? And where did they get information from? So, and again, I love football. So I had this idea, and I picked up on other people's ideas of what makes you a really, really good footballer. There's lots of good footballers. Again, locally in Carlisle's full of good footballers. Some make it, some don't. I really was interested in a wonder why. So we ran this trial that involved Middlesbrough Football Club, Darlington Football Club, and then an academy, so a full-time setup, but lads who weren't good enough to make it. So we ran trials on everything fitness related. So strength, speed, power, endurance, flexibility. There wasn't really any significant differences between the populations. So then you think, right, well, that doesn't answer that. We'll have a look at psychological factors. So controlled aggression, motivation, concentration, other stuff, forget the other stuff. And again, there wasn't any significant differences. But my interest was, good footballers seem to have lots of time, don't they? So then we tested that. And at the time, we were the only people who had done that in the world. So we had the different population groups. So you'd stand on these pressure plates. You had a football on a switch. And then you had a wall bigger than this wall that had pre-recorded videos that I'd made of a football game opening up. And the instruction was, right, well, watch it. And when you see an obvious pass, get off your pads, kick the ball into the screen, and that'll be recorded. So your accuracy would be recorded. Your decision-making time would be recorded. Like, how long did it take you to get off your pads and at least initiate? And then your action time. Well, your decision-making is only as good as your action time, isn't it? So you have to make a decision and then execute it.
Yeah.
So all the information was put together, and there was just a massive, massive difference.
Okay.
There was a big difference between Middlesbrough and Darlington, and there was a huge difference between Middlesbrough and the lads who didn't quite make it. Then intra-groups, there was a big difference between the better players in the group. They just made decisions quicker and more accurately.
Yeah.
And nobody'd seen that before in an outfield football environment. So then that picked up loads of traction. Like I said, I went to Italy to present it. Then I got grilled because I was just a kid with an idea.
And how old were you then? About 22?
23, something like that. So then I just remembered on stage, presented it, and it's good. Again, it was new. Then you get these professors and they say, right then, smart ass, if there's a difference, what's the point? What's the point in knowing there's a difference? Can we bridge that gap? And there was a big question mark, and I don't know. And that was my first PhD idea. But I didn't take that PhD because I got offered a job that I enjoyed, so I took that job. But then somebody else has picked up on that, and I watched a documentary on telly with that thing in it where they were trying to train people, and they started off using chess, like chess pieces, and then take it away. What do you remember? Where are the certain pieces, and where there are threats, and where are the opportunities to go?
Yeah.
And then apply the chess tip. Yeah.
Is there any way to train it then, or bridge the gap, you reckon?
So a lot of people have. So the question is, well, is it? Oh, sorry. The big thing I missed out on there. They had a helmet on, and they had two cameras. One camera looked forward, and it had an infrared light on it. Remember, the screen is massive.
Yeah.
Like real life. So it would track head movement, like where are they looking globally, and then one camera looked into their eye, and it looked at how fast would their eye move. It's called staccato. Whereas the good players, their head wouldn't stop moving. You'd scan, but their eye would pick up on information so quickly, and you'd interpret that quick. Whereas the lesser players would be a bit more tunnel vision, so they'd look at something for longer, but their eyes would be fixated on certain things before they decided what's not important.
Yeah.
Move on. So there's been different theories. This thing called aerobics. There's hardware and software. Hardware is, can you train your eyes? And aerobics is you follow lights around to train the muscles behind your eyes to work quicker. And then there's software, and it's memory, recall, which again opens up, is it just experience of playing for longer, or is it experience in predictable settings that can be coached and therefore can be trained. And I still don't think anyone's really answered that.
Bro, I suppose it's like when you see, I don't know, Sky Sports or whoever, and they watch like Kevin De Bruyne when he runs, he's constantly like scanning, isn't he? He'll scan about 8 times in about like 5 seconds or something.
And I tell you, the king of that was Paul Scholes, and everybody would just used to say, well, he always had space. Where he always had a yard, or he always had a few seconds. But he would just predict or anticipate, kind of knew before anyone else did. Stand there, the ball would come. And that level of understanding of the game or appreciate, I don't know what it is, but he seemed to have it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So then after Italy, then you said you got offered a job, did you?
Yeah.
So you got on to PhD?
Yeah. I went into...
Why did you make that decision?
I really wanted to do the PhD, but I was also 23 and I had no money. I think I wanted to move back to Carlisle. I think I was done with Middlesbrough then. I did, and at the time, again, I was young and missed my pals. So I got offered a job close to home with the fire service as an exercise physiologist. And a great job, really good grounding for me. Use the skills I just learnt at uni and apply it immediately. Apply it to a good population. Like working with firefighters of all ages. Brilliant, like absolutely loved it. And there's 2 centres, there's one in Cumbria and there's one in Devon. And they're the 2 centre of excellences. So any firefighter around the UK who gets injured or ill would come to us. So you get to meet some brilliant people. And that was me for the next 3 or 4 years. I couldn't turn it down. I always regret not doing PhD then, but yeah, I'm done, yeah.
So after that then, what made you move on from that job? Like say if it was a solid job?
It was a brilliant job and a brilliant place to work, but because of that, nobody left. So I got to the point where I knew my job inside out. I think I probably was seen to, if anyone was going to move up to get promoted, it would have been me, and maybe amongst a couple of others. But I certainly would have put my hat in the ring. But then jobs don't come up because nobody leaves. So it was a great place to work and good experience, but I wasn't going anywhere fast.
Yeah.
So my role in the end was a bit more research and more teaching. So I really enjoyed the teaching aspect of it. So I left there to go into teaching.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So then teaching, then what got you into there, or how did you kind of...
So I was already probably considering options when I was at the fire service of, well, where do I go next if there's no progression here?
Sure.
And then it got...
Would you say progression's important to you?
Yeah, always.
Why would you say that is?
I'm often criticised for it, like not being content. I always think there's more. Well, there is always more. There is, and I think there's always more for everybody and anybody. Just whether you want more, and I always do, and I always have.
Can be a good or bad trait, can't it?
Yeah, it's good for me because it doesn't let me settle, but it's bad for me because
you're there for settle as well. So I mean, it can be a good or a bad thing, however you look at it.
If I was, so I've got down here, so you were asking me to, we'll probably come on to it.
Yeah.
There's a couple of mistakes. Without jumping the gun too much, one of my mistakes is linked to that.
Yeah. Okay. So then you got into teaching then?
Yeah, so before teaching, I left there to go, I became this healthy lifestyle manager. So worked across Cumbria, set up projects that were for populations who weren't your average gym goer. So people with heart problems, lung problems, people socio-economic areas that didn't have access to it, people with injuries, blah, 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 you name it. It was a brand new role. I could do what I want with that role. And I could make it my own. And again, I really enjoyed that. It was more management, which is what I needed. I needed to learn them skills. I only did it a year. And then I went to teaching.
Oh, okay.
So I ran a childhood obesity program, which was a global program, and I ran the Cumbria part of that. And then I got asked to go and do a guest lecture. And I did a guest lecture, and I really enjoyed that.
Where was this guest lecture at?
Lakes College, out west.
Okay.
So I said to the guy who asked me, I said, is this what you do day in, day out? You stand, talk, and get paid well? And he's like, definitely not what you think it is. I said, get me a job. And he said, it's not that though. You don't just stand and talk and deliver and that's it. I said, get me a job. And then he got me a job. And it's definitely not that.
Goes back to like, you don't ask, you don't get kind of thing as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm quite happy to say again, all you're going to get is a no.
Yeah.
And if you often deliver it as like a bit of jest, but not.
Yeah.
It's the job I wanted.
Joking, not joking.
So yeah, I did that. I did that for 6 years, working with the college and then working with the university to deliver the degrees. And I loved it, loved teaching. Again, it just wasn't enough for me. Wanted more. So I set up my business that is this, on the side of teaching. Then we got busier and busier. Then I had an opportunity to leave college to go work in football. So I did. And it allowed me more time to work on the clinic.
So then when you were in teaching then, what made you want to set up on your own? Did you always want your own business? Or
Yeah.
is that something that's kind of happened?
No, I always wanted to. I knew I always wanted to. I was always aware that if you can't do, you teach. It was the old saying, can't do, you teach. And I didn't want to be that guy. So I was teaching anatomy and physiology, and I was teaching injury, and I was teaching psychology. And I didn't want anyone to say, well, what do you know about that? I had the skills to set up business anyway. So I did. So then I could apply real world experience into teaching, and that gets a hook. Students get to appreciate, well, actually,
he's actually doing it.
Yeah.
I remember when I was at uni and we had like a business teacher, and you're saying like, oh, have you got any business experience? Oh, well, I've got my business plan and I'm just doing this. And you're like, what do you actually know? You know how to do a business plan? Yeah, great. But realistically, I reckon half of businesses don't even have a business plan when they set up, do they?
No. Yeah. I'm like,
so then, yeah, so what made you actually set up then? Was it just literally because you thought, oh, I want to actually be like talk the talk and walk the walk kind of thing?
yeah, I think so. It was never about, I want to earn more money. As corny as this sounds, it sounds corny. And just have this innate thing in me where I just want to help people. And whether it be help people with teaching or help people who are sore. And I had the skills to do that. So I thought, oh, fuck it, why not? So then I knew there was nobody doing it. There's nobody doing that in this area. Yeah, there was nobody doing that in this area, in my opinion. But certainly not who had the skills and experience of working with elite people. So I set that up, and again, it just built traction pretty quick, too quick.
What was it like when you first set up then? Were you excited, a bit nervous, or...?
Yeah, a bit of both, because I was still...
Your first business as well?
Yeah. And
How old?
it wasn't a business. I think I use that word loosely.
Yeah.
And I still use the word loosely today. I still don't see me as owning a business. I own this thing that generates some money, but I don't see it as business. So yeah, at the time, I just felt like I was just offering appointments, not offering a business, not running a business. I was just doing appointment to appointment.
Yeah, it's like a service, kind of offering a service. Yeah.
And I was comfortable with that because generally my first few clients were people who knew anyway. So I built that up, and then that just the word of mouth spread. This is what the beauty of Carlisle. That's why I love Carlisle. If you do things well, people get to know, don't they? And if your heart's in the right place, and I would always pin what I run here as ethically right, morally right. We do it because it's the right thing to do, and we aren't flogging a service to people. Yeah, and that just generated, and it got busier and busier to the point where I couldn't do both. I was just working.
Can you remember what that point was, or when that point was then? When you maybe thought that, oh, can't do both right now, need to make a decision?
No, I very rarely. I probably dumb down them feelings because I can always do more. There's always time, and at the time, never had kids. I could work till 10 o'clock at night because I did, and I could work on the weekends, so I did. No, I think my problem, or certainly to my fortune, was I often got presented with a new option, and that new option has obviously taken me to a new place and a new place. And then that made the decision for me. Rather than me thinking, I can't do it anymore, I have to make a decision, I would just get busier, and an option would come my way, an opportunity, and I would take it. And it would be a better opportunity than I was currently doing in terms of work-life balance. And then that would get busier because you'd be a bit more successful and then your word spreads a little bit more interest, and then you get busier again. And then before I've had to make that decision, something else, you know?
Yeah. So then when you finished with the teaching then, and then you were just doing this full time, how did it kind of go from there then? Because things must have taken off more when you're allocating 100% of your time into it.
So, again, there's a bit in between all that again.
Yeah.
So I left teaching to go into football.
Oh, yeah. You said
So I worked I worked at Barrow Football Club when they were full time. And again, that was a good baptism of fire for me because it was a small club, relatively small.
Doing all right now, aren't they, to be fair?
Good, yeah. And I suppose I was at the start of this journey with a massive injection of money from this American guy. And he basically just said, we were a part-time club, and he said, go full-time next year. Go full-time, do whatever it takes to get into the Football League. And so we won the Conference North, we went into the Conference, which is a good league. And again, I'd never had experience of running a physio department.
Yeah.
And that was a good opportunity for me to do that. I learned lots, good and bad. Again, football finishes early in the day, so I'd be really fortunate because I'd be home relatively early, which means I could do more appointments.
Yeah. So when you say it was good and bad, what was the good things and what were the bad things?
So, the good things are it was football.
Yeah.
And
working on something that you love, yeah.
Just brilliant. And most of those were brilliant.
Most.
Still speak to, yeah. Again, you're in a squad, there's 25 lads.
Yeah.
They aren't going to take to you, you aren't going to take to them, all of them. It doesn't work that way. It's just managing people, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same in any group of people, isn't it?
Yeah. So, loved my time there because I was in a group of staff people who were all on the same page. We were all new. It was the first full-time job for everybody, for the strength and conditioning coach, for me, for the manager, for the assistant manager. So we had ball, like we would go away playing Dover, and we would go out, and it just had a great time. And some experienced pros taught me a lot of lessons, sometimes harshly. We need that. Football is quite harsh at times.
Like what would they? Can you remember one thing they would have said to you?
Yeah, just ex-Cal United footballers who were there, who I got along on a personal level brilliantly, but they expect a lot. Footballers expect a lot generally. They expect to turn up and have the boots tied for them, most of them. And you'd come, and if you weren't getting them back on time, or if you said 2 weeks and it was 2 weeks and 1 second, fingers pointed, what the fuck's he not back? And it's fine. If everyone's winning, it's fine. And everything's fine. And some of these little niggles and these little issues aren't an issue. When you're losing and the manager's under pressure and the players that he wants on the pitch are injured still, then there's pressure on you. And then I probably didn't make any mistakes personally, but you soon realise where can you push, where are you not supposed to, where do you need to be really tactful in what you do and say. I think I learned a lot in terms of organisation, just getting stuff organised. And as a physio or a sports therapist in a football club, you aren't just that. You're a cleaner, you're a dad, you're a mother, you're a shoelace tire, you're a rubber and a strapper and a counsellor.
Yeah, the whole work.
And they're just a go-between. The physio room is often a communal room where people come and vent. He's a fucking dickhead, him. and it's a really privileged position to be in because you hear a lot. If you want to know anything in football, you go to the physio. Well known. Yeah, you're privileged to know a lot of stuff, and you're privileged because you get to spend a lot of time on a personal level with people. But also, if you don't quite click with someone, it's quite stressful because you've got to be with them a lot. There's one guy, I won't mention his name.
No.
He was just a dick. Sort of like, still wanted to be a Premiership footballer.
Oh, he used to be one, did he?
Yeah. Didn't play in the Premiership, but was at Premiership club as a kid, and clearly at Barrow. We've now got Barrow in the conference. No disrespect to Barrow, because they were that was the start of their growth. We just didn't click. He would say the same about me. He'd say he was a dick. And it was just, he was injured a lot. And you're like, oh God, and spend another day with this guy. But that's part of the parcel, isn't it?
Yeah, you're not going to get with everyone, are you?
No.
So, Barrow thing, that was obviously like full time, and then you were doing what after you finished with that?
So, I think like journeyman here, loads of jobs. Every physio in football would say I was getting away with murder. So, I was presented with an opportunity to go into motorsport halfway through my time, and I got away with murder because because of my relationship with the management team. So I might have a job in Singapore, and I'll say to the manager, "Can I get away for a week?" It's like it's unheard of. You can't do it. You shouldn't be able to do it. Can I get away for a week? I want to go to Singapore to work with somebody not related to football, working racing drivers. And I did. He let me do it, and I had to supply a replacement. They were happy with the replacement. And then this motorsport thing got busier. More gigs for me, more jobs, and the therapy business was growing to the point where again I was struggling to juggle them all and manage it all. And then I didn't have to make that decision. We had a new manager, and the new manager sacked everybody. Just said it is. I've got my own physio, I've got my own coaching staff, I've got my own strength and conditioning coach. So that was it. Use your P45, piss off.
It just literally like that. Then
Yeah.
I've always wondered what it's like. Say, obviously I was saying the spot Everton, and when Frank Lampard gets sacked, it's not just him; it's all the staff as well. Isn't it?
Often.
Just
Often
go. So you just
probably less so at that level.
yeah.
I was the last to go. So the manager got sacked, new manager came in, didn't want to work with the assistants. He was gone pretty much immediately. Didn't see the value in the strength and conditioning coach, so he was gone. A few of the players tried to fight my corner and said, "Listen, you're not keep anyone. Keep Dan. We know him, we like him, he knows us."
That kind of relationship, isn't it?
Yeah. And then I think that only lasted a week, and I think he made his mind up anyways. Listen, it's not working out. Well, no, do you know what? That didn't happen. I got an email from the chairman. Don't turn up on Monday.
Is that it? That's crazy, isn't it?
Ah, no.
What was brutal.
Yeah. That was my first ever, welcome now in your employment. Never been sacked.
Yeah.
Not many people do, I suppose. And it's when you haven't done anything wrong. You do your best. You turn up on time. You do everything you need to do for the footballers. And then you see you later.
So has that freed up more time then for the motorsports, and did it?
Yeah. Yeah. Every cloud and all that.
Yeah. How did you get that offer in the first place?
The motorsport?
Yeah.
I got a couple local rally drivers. A couple of them have gone on to big things recently, who came to see me privately, and then again word spread, and then the word got to a rally company, a racing company, and then a couple of staff members came, and then the owner, the CEO came, and he liked me. And yeah, he just said it was for Bentley first. So Bentley had a motorsport team, and their physio was this fella from Belgium, and he just couldn't commit anymore. So one day the owner of the company was coming to see me for an ankle problem, and he said, "Why don't you join us? Would you like to? What do you know about motorsport?" And you fuck all about motorsport. I said, yeah. So I had a trial job in Germany, 4-day trial, and he just said, "Listen, at the end of the 4 days, if the drivers like you and you like us, let's sign a contract for the rest of the season." And I was really fortunate because I got to spend a lot of time with the drivers on that weekend. Yeah, and they offered me for the rest of the season. At the end of the season, they offered me another season, and then another job on top of that. And then it just snowballed, I suppose.
Yeah. So I suppose it's just like you say, one opportunity closes, another one opens, kind of thing. It's like perfect time, and the manager got sacked, and then he gone off on his travels.
Yeah. I haven't had to make that many decisions. It's always
timed right.
Yeah. I've been really lucky.
It's like that thing, isn't it? When people say like you're lucky, yeah, you may be lucky, but you need to still put yourself in them scenarios to get that luck, don't you?
Yeah, and you need to hold on to that opportunity. You can be lucky to get an opportunity, but you need to be the right person, the right time, with the right people to keep that. I could have been lucky to get to Germany, but they might have said,
After the 4 days, I don't like it, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so what happened after that then? After the 2 years in motorsport?
Oh, so again, that was brilliant for me because the motorsport was part-time. But basically just wherever there's a race, I fly. It wasn't full-time. I didn't have to be, because notoriously we'd have 6 drivers, and I would have to manage 6 drivers, but one lived in South, well, they changed every year, just like football. But they might be from different parts of Europe, might be from South Africa, they might be from American guy, Brazilian. So there's no way I can full-time manage them. So they would just say, "I'll fly you out a week before the race. They're going to be there a week before the race. Your job is to get them to the start line in as best shape as possible." So that's what I do. I would fly out for a week, come back for 3 weeks, work on my therapy business, fly out for a week, come back, work on my therapy business. And then your profile just grows a little bit, doesn't it? And it sounds good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Dan, I can't get to see that Dan for a week because he's in Japan.
Yeah, you always want to be busy, don't you? And you can't sign up for whatever.
Yeah. And then COVID stopped that. So I did that for Bentley and Ford in the rally, and working with a guy called Sebastian Ogier, who's the main man. He's the world champion. And then COVID came, stopped all that. Kids. Again, perfect timing.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to continue flying away for that much. I loved it. I sound like I'm ungrateful for the opportunities, and I'm really not, or I think we're not appreciative of it, because I really am. But your priorities change, and I didn't want to fly away all the time. So the kids came.
Just came. Out of nowhere.
And then, where are we at now? Yeah, lockdown came.
Yeah, what was lockdown for you then?
The first 3 months, I wasn't out of work. So I was locked down with everybody else. And that's the first time I've ever been forced to not do what I want to do, ever. And I don't take well to that, in that I like structure, I like being up and about and busy and helping people. Yeah, I didn't like it at all. But it did give me the opportunity that I'd never given myself. I always talked about, I want to go back teaching. I want to combine my business, our business, with teaching. And I knew I could do it, and I knew there was a niche in Cumbria, and I knew nobody was doing it, and I knew if anyone was going to do it, it should be me, really. So that's when I set up the academy. So in 3 months, there's a lot of like loops to jump through and red tape and stuff and write qualifications, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I spent 3 months setting up. I thought it was brilliant because it was pretty much ready to go.
When things started reopening, was it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it started before, actually. It started before lockdown lifted, and I just set up the first course online. Yeah, great.
Yeah, because I suppose some people didn't use lockdown, especially the first one, as productively as they could, but you were more obviously chomping at the bit to do something, a bit agitated, thinking, oh, well, nothing to do now, I need to try and do something.
Yeah, and maybe I had friends who were just, because it was sunny, wasn't it? Lovely weather.
On the bevs in the garden.
Yeah, I probably would have done that if I didn't have kids.
Yeah.
But I had a kid to look after, and couldn't get away with just pissing off and getting on the drink. So having a kid kept me at home, kept me sensible and disciplined, but I had that time now to commit to setting up a new business.
So you thought that, all right, I'm not going to go travelling away, I'm going to focus on the academy kind of thing?
When it lifted, so when it all lifted, Bentley, the program had gone by then. I think that, again, COVID was probably came at a good time for them. It wasn't money maker for any of them lot. It was a big marketing, because Bentley are a big boy.
I was going to say, yeah.
So it costs, I dread to think how much it costs to fly a team of people over to Australia and then Japan and South Africa and California, and then put 2 race cars on the track, plus 6 drivers well paid. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of money. And you're just hoping that somebody buy Bentley on the back of it.
Yeah, it's more for brand awareness, isn't it, more than anything you imagine?
Yeah, well, it absolutely is. And that can only continue for so long, surely. So then COVID came, that got kaput, and then it hasn't started. It still hasn't started yet, which was fine, totally fine. And then the rally opportunities, again, stopped for me. I wasn't that forthcoming with it, because again, I had kids until recently.
Yeah. So then, obviously, when everything lifted and that, then what kind of happened with this place and the clinic and the academy?
So I think
King's kicked on since then?
Yeah, massively. Again, COVID was... I've always been interested in progression, and interested in pushing on, but happy with the way things were at the same time. And you get, in my head, you just get conflict, a bit of, I really want to do this. And actually, everything's okay. Get paid well doing that, and busy doing this. And we can go for dinner with my wife, and we can go out on the weekend, and not have to stress, and everything was fine. And my brother would often say to me, what's wrong with you? Like, why do you keep needing to do more? Because everything's fine. Like, you've got a good job and a good life. And then I would think, you're right, yeah. And then this and this. And then I would just, I probably should kick on. But then things get in the way and work gets busy, and then you just forget. Well, I forget. Weeks have gone by and nothing's changed. But then COVID almost forced that change in me, and thought, do you know what? If I get locked down again, I'm not doing this. There's no way. So I had to be a bit more proactive, and that's where the academy came in. I thought, even if we are locked down, I can still do the academy online. I can do my clinic online. So we went online because I had to. And that's continued, but that allows us to get busy, and we are busier. So we brought Dolly in. I've known Dolly for a long, long time. I've asked him to come and join me many, many times. But he's always been always been involved in full-time football. Had some great opportunities. He's an excellent physio. And then he just one day said, you know what? Oh, I'm going to come. And then I needed to have a premises like this to house multiple people then. Yeah, and then we kicked on again in terms of reputation. Then we just get busy, naturally busier, and then the academy now is busier than ever. So much so that we have more people involved in that, and we need more people involved in that. And it's growing into things that now I'm struggling to slow down. I actually don't have that much control over it, which sounds silly.
Yeah, it's kind of just running away from you, and you're trying to keep up.
Yeah. I watched a podcast on Gary Neville not too long ago, and the guy asked him a question and said, "Are you driven?" And he said, "Yeah, I think I am. I think I'm well driven." And that's saying that we kind of use loosely, don't we? And the guy said, "I disagree. I would say you are more dragged. Businesses are growing exponentially, and they are dragging you up with it. And it's easy to say, well, I'm driving the business, but sometimes the business is dragging you. I'm not suggesting I'm comparing myself to Gary Neville, but certainly on a much smaller level,
that makes sense. Yeah,
we are growing into something that I have to put the right pegs in the right holes now, rather than me making a hole. I have to fill these holes as it be.
I suppose, yeah, if like the business is getting bigger than you as a person, maybe, do you reckon? Like, as if like the business will grow, like you're in it, but then say like the word of mouth of like Dolly and other people, their academy, and people are maybe coming to you for the business rather than you in some senses.
And that was the issue forever. And that was why I was always reluctant to call it a business, it was just me, always me. And it wasn't go and see DA Mechanics. Nobody ever knew about DA Mechanics. It was just Gussie Dan.
Yeah.
Gussie Dan, he'll sort you. And then I have to try and remove, if I want things to grow, I have to remove myself. I have to allow people to trust others. We brought in someone new recently, and she's newly qualified, she's intelligent, she's a good worker, she'll be brilliant. People don't know her yet. And if there's an option, Gussie Dan or Gussie Becker, it's not that I'm any better than Becca or she's any worse than me, it's just that nobody knows her.
Yeah.
You know?
It's always the case, isn't it, kind of thing?
Yeah, it's hard that though, isn't it?
Yeah. Just time, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah.
So what would you say is next then for the clinic and the academy? What's the plans?
So I could carry on the way it is because it's fine, but that's my issue. It's fine, and it's growing okay, and we've got some good people involved. However, if I do want to take that next step, then I have to start making bigger decisions. I've asked somebody to come in. Again, I can't name these people. I've asked somebody to come in to manage the whole thing, to be a clinic, an education director. And this person would relieve me from a lot to allow us to move up to the academy. It's whether this person has got the bottle to do it, and it's whether I've got the bottle to match this person's expectations and salary and stuff. I'm toying with that. That's something I probably will do. If I take this opportunity, that hopefully I get offered this afternoon, that's an incredible opportunity, and that will take me elsewhere. And after that, I have no idea.
Exciting times ahead then.
Yeah. I don't get excited.
Yeah.
Speak to anyone I know, like
it's a bit numb to everything. Do you reckon?
Yeah, because I'm a little bit of a pessimist, and I just think it's brilliant, but what about that? And what about that? And what about that? And often, because you've been trying to run stuff by yourself always, you have to spin loads of plates. I think, fucking, what about that plate?
Yeah.
If I focus on this and I really push on these, what happens to them? And I think I want my cake and I want to be able to eat it as well.
Yeah.
I want it all. I want a clinic that I'm involved in. I want an academy that I'm involved in. I want to go and travel with these people. We can't do it all.
There's not enough time in the day, is there? All right, cool. So I reckon let's go on to the biggest regret, biggest mistake in either personal or business life.
Okay.
What are you going to do? Personal, business? One or the other?
I think they're the same. If
Yeah,
if I was to commit to a regret or a mistake,
yeah.
I think in personal and business, it's the same. And I think it's not being brave enough on both levels. On a personal level, not being brave enough to just think, fuck it, do it. So I've turned down holidays because I thought, don't know if I can afford it. When really it's just fuck it, just do it. So I've missed out on holidays and stag do's where I thought, I can't, I've got a bit of work to do. And I regret that. There's some stag do's or holidays where I really should have gone on. And I've missed out. And I kick myself because I think, fuck's sake. And even the kids thing, I'll always be my kid's dad, always. I don't need to be with them every second of the day. But I have to remind myself that. And again, I've said, I can't come out, I can't do that. I've got the kids the next day, and the kids are all right. So just not being brave enough to just make bigger decisions in my personal life, right? Just do it. Stop dwelling on it. Stop thinking about it. Just do it. And that lends itself to the business as well. I think the business is fine, by the way. Which is again why I don't make too many big decisions, brave decisions. And I'm getting there. I'm learning because I've had to. But I could have made ballsier decisions. And I might have gone shit or bust. I might have been in a completely different place, better or worse. You never know, do you?
No, that's the one thing you never do know, do you?
Yeah, and that's the beauty of making big decisions. But if you don't make big decisions, you sit and think, well, what if that happened?
I suppose you don't want to jump too quickly either, though, do you? Like, say if you're going slow and steady and you're on the uphill trajectory, if you took the ballsy decision, you may go up quickly and then shoot straight back down as well.
Yeah, well, that's always my...
Use your own intuition, don't you?
Yeah.
Experience.
So, at the start of COVID, I got a business coach, and the business coach would just he hated me, because I would just say, well, but... And he's like, what? It's all buts. He'd say, just do it. Yeah, but what about this? And he's like, Jesus Christ, Dan.
What are you paying me for?
and I do that all the time. But this and but that. And I think people think I'm really indecisive. And I probably am. But I'm better at knowing what I don't want than I am
what you do.
What I do. I generally don't. Lots of people ask me, where are you going to be in 5 years? I fucking know. Don't know. Where do you want to be? I really don't know. And I genuinely don't. That's not sit on the fence. I genuinely don't. I can't set goals because I don't know.
At least you're self-aware enough to know that, though, isn't it?
Right.
Because I think that's a good trait to have, that you actually know your own qualities and attributes, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. One of them isn't making decisions. Hence why it took a year to get on here.
Yeah.
Like you're dead committed. You're like, how's Tuesday in 3 months, 11 o'clock? I'm like, fucking stuff.
I know.
I don't know. How were you committed to that? Oh, well.
Yeah, to be fair, I do reschedule a few podcasts when I commit. I just like to say my method for anything is like, I like to just have a schedule and a regimen.
Yeah.
So like, same with you, your appointments and stuff.
Yeah.
I like to know, right, I don't know, today, 1:30, I'm seeing Dan. So that's in the diary, 100%. And if we need to reschedule it, we can reschedule it. But rather than not having a date in there, it's up in the air, isn't it?
And I need to be more like that. Just commit. And then you don't have to commit forever. It can change. But at least there's a bit of commitment there.
Because off topic slightly, about like one of my, say, New Year's resolutions is to do like one podcast every week. So last year I did like one every other week.
Yeah.
So my excuse last year was, I don't have enough time, I'm busy with work, blah, 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 blah. But then you think, you can make time. Like, there's always time. Like, I did 2 yesterday, one view today, and it's just like, you do make time. And it's just making excuses, and I'm not making them excuses this year because I enjoy it and helps promote local businesses and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So any closing thoughts, anything you want to say and plug the business and social media pages, websites, all that kind of stuff?
So, I suppose a naughty plug. Anyone injured? Anyone want a movement assessment? Anyone interested in how do you make that next step in terms of performance? I think we're pigeonholed a little bit of, if I have an injury, I'll go see them. We're very focused on performance. I think we're probably positioned better than most to talk about performance in the area. and a lot many people know about that. So yeah, if you want to know about like how do you take the next step in performance, as well as manage injuries, and get in touch. I don't know what my handles are. DA Human Mechanics. That's probably it. On the Academy, DAHM Academy on Instagram, Facebook. Closing statements.
Any closing thoughts?
I don't know. Be braver.
Yeah, you enjoyed it?
Good, yeah, good. I did a post not too long ago, and it basically said this: like, I don't often sit and think about what I've done. And like my CV, and a big CV is not often a good CV, is it? Like, looks jumpy, non-committal. But mine's only jumped to something better, and something better, and something better. And I think from the outside, if you were to look at my life, at like being able to travel here and travel there and work with that person and do okay and have a busy schedule in here, I think it looks okay. I just don't appreciate that because I'm in it.
Yeah.
You don't often see the wood for the trees, do you? And I'm guilty of that. And many people have said that to me. I just wake up in the morning. I'm involved in my family heavily, involved in work heavily, and then you go sleep. You never have time to even think about it, and then talk about it.
I think that's the beauty of the podcast, of like highlighting and showcasing local business owners and getting to know them a bit more. And because they probably just come in to see you, the physio, then they go, don't they?
Yeah.
Whereas then this can give a bit of a backstory, is it? And then they can be like, oh, that's interesting about Dan, blah, 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 and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time.
That's all right. Well, everyone, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, like the video, comment your favourite part. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, follow the podcast and leave a 5-star review, and we'll see you next time. Bye, 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 bye. Perfect.
Thank you, mates.